there's so much more to just what you're doing than just, again, applying paint on walls and giving a quality service. You're providing jobs to people in your area. You're creating a great place for them to work, maybe giving them financial opportunities that they can't get elsewhere. You're taking care of people in your community by filling a need. You're giving homeowners an experience they want and deserve, not the typical contractor one. Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Business Advice Podcast. My name is Chris Moore, the founder of Elite Business Advisors, your host here for the podcast. I hope you enjoyed our case study on Topgolf last week and kind of how it applies into your painting business. And today I've got another case study lined up for you, and it's all about Clemson University. If you're watching this on video, you see I've got my Clemson stuff on. We got our orange lights going here in the background. If you're listening to this on audio, I did go a little extra once again to drive a point home about culture. So, and just to clear the air, I have a lot of people ask, I didn't actually go to Clemson. I have family that lives there. If you follow me on social media, you know I'm a huge Clemson fan. My wife and I just took a trip out there. And I was going to record this right after that. We were in the middle of our Sales 401 series, and I wanted to wait until that wrapped up and also kind of see how this season plays out. So I've got family that lives out there that taught there. One of them still does. And here in St. Louis, we don't have like big college football. So Mizzou is 2 hours away. U of I, University of Illinois is 2.5 hours away. So like we don't really have college football here. So Clemson was always just kind of my like default team. And as the Dabo era started and whatnot, it's been I've gotten even more into it the last 15 years than I did probably the first 20 years of my life. If you can do the math, you can figure out how old I am there on that. So, but here's what I realized when we were there. Clemson is it's a special place, and it's hard to put into words. Like I remember making like a post on Instagram after we got back and like trying to explain what we like experienced in those 48 hours of being there. And again, I hadn't even been out there since I was young. So it's been a long time coming. I've kind of been a fan from afar and whatnot. And even our family usually comes here to visit and stuff. And so if you've ever been, or if you ever decide to go, you're going to realize there's just really something special about the culture there that is unrivaled anywhere else. And I don't just mean the football program, although that's kind of led a huge resurgence in I think the culture there that they have, but the city and the area in general. Now, granted, there's not much in the Greenville, South Carolina area, which is about 45 minutes from where Clemson is, outside of, I have to say this, my good friends at Renew Painting, Shane, Hannah, you guys are awesome. But everything about that area in South Carolina just revolves around Clemson in a way that is unlike anything I've experienced before. And I've been to Mizzou, I've been to University of Illinois, Illinois State, like a lot of big college campuses when I worked with student painters. And even there, I mean, yeah, Mizzou area, Columbia, Missouri, again, not much else there. I mean, they rally around Mizzou, but this was definitely different. And so today, I want to talk through the three things that make Clemson special, but more importantly for you guys, how you can build a culture in your business, both internally for your staff and externally with your customers in the community to mirror what Clemson has done there in South Carolina. So I hope it helps. Thanks for plugging in. This is the Elite Business Advice Podcast. All right, I know I just talked about how special Clemson is, and I'm going to just attempt to put this in perspective in the best way that I can that still may not relate to you. Anybody here in St. Louis will understand this. But there's something really special about St. Louis Cardinals and the culture around that sports organization. For I think like 20 plus years in a row, we had over 3 million in attendance throughout all of the 81 home games. And when they got to the postseason, there was just something special. There's like a buzz in the air. The whole city rallies around it. If you're checking out at the grocery store, like they have Cardinal shirts on and people are talking about it. And even if they're not big baseball fans, they're just rallying around like this fun atmosphere that's being built when the Cardinals are in the postseason. Unfortunately, they're not there this year. And so I'm just going to, I guess, keep going out to Clemson to get my fix. But there's something special about it. And what I realized being out at Clemson is it's honestly 5 times anything we've ever experienced. And I've lived through 2 World Series championships here in St. Louis in 2006 and 2011. And those were pretty incredible. But what I think is more impressive about Clemson is this is just how it is year round. It's not just in October when postseason's going on. It's not just when football season's happening, although I'm sure that adds a little extra to it. But it seems like it's year-round, which is pretty incredible. And so I want to go through 3 questions that I want you to kind of ask yourself about your business. And then we're going to kind of dive into some application both from the Clemson side, but also for you guys in your business as well. And before I hop right into that, I want to paint a picture of the Clemson season so far, because I think that's going to be relevant in some of these questions. And I'm really glad I waited till after the game this past weekend against UNC. Now, they'll play one more before this episode comes out, so I'm a little nervous. We'll see what happens. But I want to just kind of share the quick background, because I think that'll help give some context here and what we saw here, especially this past weekend. So season has not gone as planned. It's been awful. I've almost been embarrassed to even wear anything Clemson. It's been that rough. They were ranked number 4 in the preseason, which I felt like was a little bit high. But Christine and I went out for their opening game against LSU. LSU was ranked number 9. And we lost 17-10. It was a great game. We didn't play great, but neither team really did, but it was a good game. It wasn't a negative in being there. It was amazing to experience it. And we just didn't pull it out. First game of the season. I always hate big games for the first season. You need that tune-up, since college football doesn't really have preseason games like NFL and every other major sports organization does. Okay, so we lose game 1. Great. Week 2, they come out and played terrible in the first half, like almost worse than the first week. They somehow end up rallying and barely winning in the second half against a team named Troy that's just not great historically, but they won. Okay, great. Week 3, they play Georgia Tech, supposedly pretty good team this year. We look not great again in the first half. We're down by a lot, make a big surge in the second half, lose on the last second walk-off field goal from like 56 yards out. Like, just heartbreaker. Okay, so now we're 1-2, not good. And then we lose to Syracuse. Mind you, Syracuse lost their starting quarterback in the first half, and we still couldn't beat them, and we lost by like 14. And that was when like everything started happening about, are they going to fire Dabo Swinney, the head coach? And it's not been a great year, honestly. Like, lots of talent. They returned the most percentage of starting players in all of college football, and they can't get their ish together. Thankfully, they had a bye week a week ago, gave them some time to breathe, regroup, and then they came out. They played UNC, which is where Bill Belichick, the former coach of the Patriots, is, who's having a mediocre season. They were 2-2 heading into this game. And Clemson came out and just cleaned house. They won 35-10, and honestly, the touchdown they gave up was when they had their second stringers in. Once they were up like 35-3, they put most of their second string in and stuff. So it was great to see them come out in the first quarter and just dominate, and they were up 28-3 at the end of the first quarter, and just kind of were able to ride that throughout the game. So turning point, there's some hope. Maybe Dabo's going to survive the season. We'll see. I hope he does. But here's where I want to go with this. Here's my 3 questions for you. And I know we're like really deep into this episode with a lot of just kind of background context and story. So number 1, first question for you. Are you a place that people can't wait to engage with? And I say this again from your employees internally and also your customers in the community you serve. And here's why I'm asking this. Because I can't wait to go back to Clemson. I can't wait to go back and experience that culture. I can't wait to go be there again, and I can't wait to take our boys and go experience that environment. Okay, so here's a couple thoughts for you. Number 1, what's your hospitality like? In my opinion, treat everybody like they're your own family, assuming you love your family. All right, Southern hospitality is a real thing, and it's incredible. Every conversation in the airport, even people that were LSU fans coming to the game, we had friendly, fun conversations with. It was almost weird. I do a lot of travel. I travel a lot. People don't talk in airports. People don't talk on planes. They don't talk when you're waiting at baggage claim. Everybody's just got their AirPods in, their head down, and they're just getting through the trip. This was different when we were in Greenville, at least, and then a little bit in Atlanta to and from when we were around people that had obvious Clemson stuff on. So how do you be hospitable like that? How do you just be personable? How do you just strike up conversations? I think that's something that's totally been lost. I've noticed this a lot in the last 10 years, especially after 2020. People just don't talk. Elevators, whatever it is, just be personable, right? And so I say that when you're on your job sites, when you're talking to customers, when you see neighbors outside, right? When you're in Sherwin-Williams, like there's so many places. Just strike up a conversation. People love to talk about themselves, just nobody ever initiates it. And a lot of times people won't initiate it themselves, but they love it once it's done, right? A big question on this. How do you become, this isn't question 2 yet, but just as another thought here on being a place that people can't wait to engage with, how do you become different than everybody else in your area, right? Like, how are you just not the normal just contractor experience, right? And I'll talk more about value proposition here on another question, but be different, right? Be something that stands out to people. That's pretty much how I built Elite Painting, and from what I hear in the industry, it's kind of how we're building our reputation in this business, and I'm pretty dang proud of it, if I'm being honest. It just is what it is. It's who we are at our core. It's not fake, it's genuine. It's who we are as our core, but it's different, and I like being different when it comes to things like this. I don't want to be the standard. I don't want to be the stereotype, right? We want to be different. We want to stand out in our own way, and we know that that'll always stand the test of time. Another thing, this has been huge this year for Clemson. Always own your faults. Don't make excuses. We've seen that since the first game when they lost all the way through. Guess what? The leader's taking the accountability. It's on him. Granted, are the players underperforming? Yes. And to some degree, can you put that on the players? Of course. But at the end of the day, the coach is taking responsibility for it. And when you do that, people want to connect with you. When you own your mistakes as a leader internally with your team, hey guys, that one was on me. Totally messed it up. Hey, we need to have a better process for this. That's on me. That's not on you guys. Even if it's, it's kind of their fault, right? But don't make excuses. Own your faults. Same thing with your customers. Something happens, something breaks, whatever it is, just own it. Hey, we messed this up. We're going to handle this. We apologize. We have a better process in place moving forward. Maybe it's a bad employee. Hey, just like, I know this doesn't help, but we've let that employee go because that just, all of a sudden, like their values or their standards just didn't align with ours. And we went ahead and made that change. Like, we're really sorry that this happened, whatever, right? So just own it. A lot of times we try to find a way to place blame and, this was, so-and-so's fault, or this was the paint supplier's fault, or this was, no, just own it. Guys, hey, this is our fault. All right. And then the last one on this note, communicate confidence, right? When you're confident in your team, you're confident in your people, you're confident in your process, you're confident that you're one of the best painting contractors in your market, find ways to communicate it that doesn't say the words, we're the best because, or I know we're amazing because, right? That doesn't look good, right? But how do you communicate the confidence you have in your team, the confidence you have in your product, the confidence in your process and your ability? How do you communicate that to people without flat out saying we're the best, or this is why we're the best, right? You say, hey, this is why a lot of customers choose us over other people is because of X, Y, Z. That's fine, right? That's not arrogant. That's not cocky. But how do you communicate confidence? How do you communicate confidence in your team, even if your team's maybe not performing? I've seen that a lot this year, right? Starting quarterback, Cade Klubnik, was favored to win the Heisman Trophy. If you're not familiar with college football, that's the best player in all of college football at the end of the year. It was like one of the top 3 that were favored to win it. I don't think he's going to win it this year, but after the first few games, we're a lot of fans were like, can he even be our starting quarterback? It wasn't all his fault, but guess what? Dabo never wavered. No, Cade's our guy. We know he's got what it takes. Okay. He's finally got out of his own head and had a great game the other day. So have confidence in your people, even when they may not be confident in themselves. That's a huge point. All right. Question number 2. Do you have standards and expectations of excellence? I love 2 words in here, standards and excellence. 3, expectations. I love all the big words that are not 3 or 4 letters there. Do you have standards and expectations of excellence in your business? This should be obvious. We need to hold people accountable. We need to have expectations that we upheld. And if you don't meet the standards and the expectations of excellence, you don't belong in this organization. Again, whether we're talking college football, whether we're talking business, whether we're talking a non-for-profit. If you don't fit the standards and expectations of excellence, it's going to be obvious and people will self-select themselves out, or you have a bar to hold them to say, hey, yeah, this just isn't the right fit, right? But before you can do that, you have to have the expectation. You have to have the standard of excellence. You can't accept average results. You can't accept average work ethic, because when you do that, the entire culture comes down to meet that expectation, right? And so how do we have standards and expectations of excellence? And right now with Clemson, that's where a lot of fans are like getting disgruntled, because it's like there's an expectation of excellence. There's a standard that's been set amongst many alumni and coaches, right? In the whole Dabo Swinney era, there's an expectation of excellence. And when things don't go well, it really starts to reveal like true colors and character. And again, it's been impressive to see the way he's handled this as a leader. And in your business, you have to have those expectations. You want to build a culture that breeds excellence and winning and improvement. And again, those are the work environments that a lot of people want to come to work for. Now, not everybody, and that's okay. But again, I'd argue, are they the right fit for you if that is who you are and how you believe your business should be run? Are you forward thinking in your business, right? It's not always just about tweaks that you need to make right now. What's the vision you want to have for your culture? Are you thinking 3, 6, 9, 12 months ahead? I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I really hate that we have a virtual culture here at EBA. And what I mean by virtual is, with some of our clients, most of our clients actually, but more so for our team, right? Ted is here and near me in St. Louis, about 20, 25 minutes away. Stuart is in Scotland, 6 time zones away. We've got Matt Kuiper down in Nashville. We got Sean Davies up in Pennsylvania. We're in the process of looking and recruiting 1 or 2 more part-time advisors here as we head into next year. But here's what I'm really excited about, though, is next summer, EBA is going to have their own office, right? Right now, I share an office with some great friends. It's been a blessing. I love it. If Ted ever needs to come here, he can. But it's not like our place. But what I'm really excited about is by next summer, Stuart's coming to St. Louis, and I'm stoked about that. And Ted will probably be here full time by that point. We're working that out right now. I'm just going to speak that into existence, Ted. I know you're going to listen to this, so there's your nudge. But I'm so excited for like the culture that we're going to have together. We're going to get an office. We're going to start working through that in the springtime, and it's going to be ours. And I'm so excited for what we can do with that, right? And so there's tweaks. We're in the middle of working through some stuff here behind the scenes, which is fine. But man, I've got this vision for the culture that I want us to have here, and having an office together and what that's going to look like. And I've already told our team, like, we're taking 1 day off a month to go golf, whether it's in a charity tournament or we just go play. Like, that's going to be part of our culture because we're all golfers. And so I'm just excited about that. And so, but in order to do that, I have to be forward thinking. I have to have a vision in my head for the culture that I want our team to have here. And so it's not always just about what's right in front of you. It's about what's coming down the pipeline and what are the chess moves we need to make in the meantime to make that a reality. Okay. Another thing, gotta have traditions. And what I mean by traditions is I really just mean consistency. You can't be one way one year and another way the next year. And I think that's what was really impressive about Clemson is like there is a tradition, again, of excellence, but of the culture they have. And it's not, oh yeah, we're going to be really hospitable and amazing this year. And then like, next year football team kind of sucks and just it's, whatever. Like this is consistency. We sat next to a guy. He's had season tickets for 20 years, so he hasn't missed a home game in 20 years. And he was like, I've never heard this place this loud when we were there that night, which was good because my ears rang for like legitimately 2 days afterwards because it was so loud in there. But what he said was, he's like, but we always show up and we've always got a packed house. And I was like, that's amazing, right? So in your business, you got to be consistent. Again, you can't be one way on one job, one way on another job. You can't let standards slide here and then expect to hold standards and expectations on the next project. It's got to be consistent. You got to have tradition in there. You got to have that standard of excellence year in, year out, when times are good, when times are bad. Standards are standards. Another thought on this one, leadership. I talked already a lot about Dabo and the way he's handled this year, but the leader sets the tone for the organization. If you aren't investing in how to be a better leader for your people, you're failing in your business. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's a hot topic for me right now. It's a hot topic for a lot of business owners because you go from being a doer, a technician, to being a business owner and a leader and a coach and hiring project managers and estimators and office staff and having to lead all of them together in unison, which is something arguably a lot of you guys maybe haven't done before. And it's scary, and sometimes you got to just trial and error some of it, right? You do the best you can, you get the best mentors and coaches and guidance, and sometimes you still have to iterate it, and that's okay, right? Because sometimes you don't know how to be a better leader until you've led some people and maybe not done the greatest with it, and you learn. That's okay, right? But here's what I want you to remember. Leaders communicate. They influence people. If you ask, there's a million different definitions out there, but like if you ask me what the word leadership means to me in one word, I would say influence. Leadership is influencing people for the good or the bad. You're influencing, right? But here's, I think, the biggest key. Leaders are they're the thermostat, not the thermometer. And let me explain what I mean by that. If you think about this, right, a thermometer tells you what is the temperature outside of the food you're cooking, whatever. Thermostat is controlling that temperature. Leaders control the temperature of your organization. Hot, cold, whatever it means, you're in control of it as a leader in your organization. You're not a thermometer. Thermometer is just reactive and just whatever's happening, right? You are the thermostat, so keep that analogy in mind. And then the last thing on this one, you got to always share belief. Got to share belief in those standards. You got to share belief in your team, again, and in your processes, and find ways to communicate that. Question number 3. This is the one I want to wrap up on. Does your reputation extend beyond your core business function? Let me explain what I mean by that with Clemson, and then we're going to talk about you. With Clemson football, I'm going to get micro into the football side of this, but I think this has become part of the culture of the entire university from what I've gathered and talking to our family. Dabo Sweeney, coach of Clemson, is about way more than just winning football games. Now, granted, he's really good at that. His history would show that. This year, questionable, but not letting that overshadow what he's done the last 10 to 15 years there. But what he's done more impressively than anything, and this is why I've been so hopeful that like they turn this around and he doesn't lose his job, because it's just a natural thing, right, that can happen, right? Things aren't going well. Leader turnover needs to happen. And I would be curious, based on his track record and everything he's done for this university and the culture they have, if like one bad season could tank that. I don't want to find out. And here's why. Because Dabo's about way more than just football. Dabo's about developing men into being good human beings to go out and do great things in the world. He's developing people in their faith walk, not through pushiness, but through the culture that they have there and the opportunities that people are open to. And he's, again, developing these guys. He says that a lot. He's like, I don't care if we go 500, but if everybody on our football team goes on to do great things in the world and be a great influence for the people around them, then I've done my job, right? And that's maybe almost backwards, because people would think like, no, your job is to win football games. And yeah, I mean, in one sense, that's what they've hired him for. But like, we got to stop and think about like the reason behind the season, right? What are you doing? What is your value proposition beyond just putting paint on walls? Who are you as a company? What are you doing around you with your people and with your customers and with everything you're doing that's beyond just, again, the core business function of paint jobs, right? And here's what I want to leave you with. In my opinion, there's so much more to just what you're doing than just, again, applying paint on walls and giving a quality service. You're providing jobs to people in your area. You're creating a great place for them to work, maybe giving them financial opportunities that they can't get elsewhere. You're taking care of people in your community by filling a need. You're giving homeowners an experience they want and deserve, not the typical contractor one. It's about way more than just putting liquid on walls. It's about being a positive influence to everyone you come in contact with. And please don't ever lose sight of what you're really doing here. I hope you enjoyed that episode and were able to take away a few nuggets to implement into your business. If you loved this episode, please leave us a rating and a review. It helps others on the platform find our podcast, and it could be the best blessing that's ever happened to them thanks to you. We at Elite Business Advisors are a huge supporter of the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. If you're not familiar with the PCA and all of the benefits of membership, I highly recommend you check it out at www.painted.org. That's PAINTED.org. It looks like painted. And last but not least, if you're looking for an outsider's perspective as you navigate growth, schedule a free business analysis meeting with us at www.elitebusinessadvisors.com. We work with painting contractors all over North America to help them treat their business like a business. Our entire team of advisors all have experience in owning and running a painting company, so you aren't just getting a team that is teaching off of theory, but tried and true application of principles and systems. Thanks so much for listening in today. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you back next week.